And now we are going to look at the midpoint formula. Now I know if you look in the textbook, it's x1 plus x2 over 2, then y1 plus y2 over 2. And that might often confuse you when you look at the distance formula or the gradient. It's got x1, x2, and which way round? Do I add? Do I subtract? It's a very common mistake for people to say, oh yeah, it's a x2 minus x1 over 2 will give me the midpoint. So let's see if we can find a way to actually memorize and understand the formula once and for all. And why it is that it's the average, okay, of the 2 points. So if I say 2 points A and B, let's say that A has coordinates 2, 3, okay, 2, 3, so 2. And let's say B, we go across, let's say 6 units, so that'll be 8. And if we go up, let's say 10 units, doesn't really matter. So that will be 8, 13. Okay. Now, we say that a good way to remember the midpoint formula is to simply take the average of the x coordinates. And so therefore, the average is halfway between 2 and 8, or if you add them up and half it, it's 5. Okay, so it's here, 5. I'll just do that in red. And then the average of the y coordinate. Now the y is 3 and 13, so 3 plus 13 is 16, half is 8. So I say, okay, 5 and 8. So 5, 8. Now, we say, okay, if I average the x and then average the y, does it actually lie on the line? How do I know that how do I know that this point does not actually miss the line? You know, how do I know that it actually lies on this line, the midpoint of AB? Well, it's actually just to do with similar triangles. So let me show you that if I construct a triangle, and I'm saying that 5, 8 is actually the midpoint. Well, if I drop we can clearly see here that if this distance, a bit in green, is equal to this distance, which is halfway along the x part, and let's do this one in blue, this distance is equal to this distance, then by similar triangles, well, you can see it already, can't you? This distance must equal to that distance on that line. So you are at the midpoint. All you have to do is take the midpoint of the x coordinate, or the average of the x coordinate, and the average of the y coordinate. Okay, so to remember, just take the average of the x, and how do I work out the mean, if you like? Add up the coordinates divided by how many there are. There's only 2, so it's 2 plus 8 and half it, 5. 3 plus 13 and half it, 8. The midpoint formula, now you could then generalize it and say, well, that's, you know, x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. But trying to memorize that and getting it slightly wrong because you didn't actually understand in the first place, this, you can often mistake this equation for the equation of the tangent, for example, or the distance formula. Okay.